Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest channel and podcast. If you are on the podcast platforms, please do go ahead and subscribe and leave a review. And if you are on YouTube, please do go ahead and subscribe, as well as hitting that like button. It's like walking into the room and hitting that light switch. We just want to go ahead and brighten up the place. Let's get into this conversation/reality chat. I've watched this most recent episode of The Real Housewives of Potomac, and I have to tell you, I was extremely triggered. I was extremely triggered. I honestly did not know that they would show as much as they did, because if we've seen the previews to this season of The Real Housewives of Potomac and saw some of the social media blog news before the season premiered, we knew that Dr. Wendy Osefo, was going to have a drink thrown in her face by miathornton. So we know how these shows do. They like to drag things along, but I would say this is pretty early into this season for them to show this, and I was quite surprised. And not only that, I was expecting once they showed this that this would happen at the end of the episode, and then they would let us wait until the next week to see what happened after that. I really did expect them to have this as a cliffhanger. But they showed a good bit on this episode of Mia doing what she did. And let's just be clear. What Mia did was assault. I don't care if she did not lay hands on Wendy. Throwing a drink in someone's face, spitting in someone's face, all of those different things like that does not include laying your hands on someone like Monique did to Candace previous seasons ago. It's still considered assault. You can't throw a drink in someone's face and not expect them to react. But here's what I want to talk about, because I know a lot of people are talking about the blow by blow, what led up to it, who was right, who was wrong, all of that situation. I mean, clearly Mia was wrong, but Mia is wrong in a lot of situations. We've seen this girl say things that was either downright not the truth, or she would misconstrue the words that someone said. And when the person says, well, that's not what I said. Well, that's what I thought I heard. I mean, she's delusional. She has a lot of issues, okay? But she was definitely wrong. She was going hard for Peter, which it was weird because she was saying, that's my brother. And it's like, girl, first of all, he's not your brother. And you're upset because Peter told you that he has beef with Wendy because she hasn't responded to him yet about a possible link up in business. That has nothing to do with you. And for God's sake, I don't care if Peter sent Wendy a contract to sign. She has the right to wait on things, even though has a husband who's an attorney. She has a right to wait on things, to have things reviewed by a business attorney, to review the contract, to make sure that this is something that's going to be beneficial to her and her family, making sure that there's nothing nefarious going on his end, that she should be getting herself involved in or wrapped up in, because we know that Peter's had his share of legal issues. Let's just be clear, even though it appears that he's got a successful business going on right now with his Bar One clubs in different states. Good for him. Kudos to him. Happy to see it. But that was none of Mia's business. So Mia was taking it so personally, and Peter was being messy. And I know some people have called him Patricia in the past, because when he was married to Cynthia Bailey and when he was on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, it really did seem like he would get himself involved in the woman's issues a lot. And it was true. Now, I will say, looking back on things and a number of the situations, I do believe that Peter was looking out for Cynthia when he was standing up to Nene in a lot of ways that Cynthia never would have. But that's neither here nor there. What's done is done. But with this situation, it was completely uncalled for. And Wendy was right to say, like, you're really going hard for this situation that really has nothing to do with you. Like, why are you getting yourself involved in this? Like, what does this have to do with you? I don't owe it to any man except my husband to let them know if I'm going to be in town. So, like, why are you going hard for Peter in this situation? So it was really weird, okay? But at this point, with what Mia did, and the natural reflex is to prop yourself up, to defend yourself, and even if it means throwing words that, I'll beat your, what, and all this other stuff that tends to happen as a natural reflex when someone assaults you, it's not a natural reflex to retreat and leave the room. It can happen, and in God's all honesty, for most adults, even though it is the natural reflex to, throw your fists up or whatever to try to defend yourself when you've been assaulted, if you have a lot to lose, it usually is in your best benefit to leave the situation. And then if somebody comes up behind you and they're attacking you, of course, you're going to try to do your best to get them up off of you and let the police do their job. Because when you are an adult and you have a lot to lose and you have a family and all of these situations like that, things happen in life, but you have to do your best to not be involved in these things if you have a lot to lose. And Dr. Wendy is Dr. Wendy. She's got her speaking engagements. She is a commentator on different news outlets, national news outlets, not just local. She is a professor. She has a family. She has a husband who is an attorney. She really does have a whole lot to lose. And I don't know what her, what do I really want to say? I don't know what her motives were for wanting to really be on the Real Housewives of Potomac, but I do believe that there is, in a lot of the women that try to be on these shows, they pitch themselves to be on these shows, they try out, send in their reels or their, whatever it is for the producers to view to see if they would be a potential candidate to be on the show, or maybe they become a friend of. There's something within them that they are lacking, that they're seeking attention. And I'm just going to be honest. I do believe that Wendy was really seeking attention because I thought she was beautiful on the first season, but it is always up to a woman to do things to update or enhance their bodies to make themselves feel better about themselves. And she had 3 children, so she had some plastic surgery procedures in order to boost herself up a bit, and I'm okay with that. But then when she was like dropping it like it was hot on the I think they were going on a trip or something last season, and that's when the other girls, who I'm not a fan of, Robin and Giselle, started questioning her actions and her, the way she was moving versus how she was the first season. It did bring not just them, but other people pause and to question, like, what is it? Is something different about Dr. Wendy? But now in this season, because she and Mia, they were going back and forth a bit last season, but now in this season, you've got her where she was speaking to Peter about opening up a Nigerian lounge. She started her candle line last season. Now she's been talking about doing other things. I feel like she's really seeking a lot and maybe a little bit much too soon. But to get to the point where now you're on this reality show where you're getting a lot of attention, and probably with that situation a whole lot more attention than you really wanted to have, it could possibly put your career in danger. Because if you saw this most recent episode, you saw at the end there was a statement, which is one of the reasons why I'm even doing this conversation right now, that Johns Hopkins Hospital made. And they said that they didn't just say that Johns Hopkins Hospital doesn't endorse violence. They said Johns Hopkins Hospital is not related to or doesn't have anything to do with the Real Housewives of Potomac. That statement that was made to me, it really made me pause and question if they're considering letting her go. Because that is a really large statement to make, and in the way that they did it on Bravo. I'm not saying she's going to lose her job. I'm not saying that I want her to lose her job, but I am questioning if they are questioning whether they should continue to keep her on, because she didn't do anything wrong. She was responding to what was done to her, and that is a hard, like I said, it's a hard thing to do when you have been physically assaulted, to just get up and walk away and be the bigger person. But when you have a lot to lose, like she does, it honestly is that moment when you have to do the hardest thing. The easy thing to do is to react. It's the reflex. It's the easy thing to do is to react. The hard thing to do is to get up, walk away, and be the bigger person. Because what Mia did was extremely out of line. And then we get into this colorist thing. And I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that. But listen, you can claim to not be a colorist, meaning if your hue is of a lighter range and shade, then you feel that you're better than, or you relate more to those whose hue closely matches yours. And you've got Wendy, who is of darker skin tone. You've got Robin and Giselle and Mia, who are of the lighter skin tones. And Mia was 100% wrong. And Giselle and Robin, they were siding up with Mia. But a few seasons ago, which I said that Monique was wrong, and I still stand on that, with what Monique did to Candace. And listen, Monique and Candace, they're both darker skin tone women, so it's not even about them. But in terms of Giselle and Robin, they said what Monique did was wrong. What Mia did was wrong as well, but Robin was saying that Wendy is antagonistic. She even brought her phone out to start recording the situation, to say, I'm TMZ right now, because nobody's going to say that one thing happened when it didn't really happen that way. And I was like, wow, you're really doing this right now? And Mia was the one acting like a wild boar and caused her own nail to break, whatever. And they're acting so sympathetic towards her. Oh, well, Mia's going to leave because she just feels that she just needs to separate herself from the situation. She was the one that caused it. And so the fact that Robin and Giselle, they were basically saying that Mia had the right to act as if she was the victim in the situation, Wendy, at that moment, she became the bigger person to say, no, you know what? I'll leave. Because I refuse to stay in the house with people who are going to side with someone who did what they did to me, because I really might wind up beating somebody's ass. Like, that's what she said. But yeah, that's the moment when I saw that statement flash across the screen where Johns Hopkins Hospital said that they don't have anything to do with Real Housewives of Potomac. So it makes me wonder, is Wendy's career in jeopardy from being a part of this show? And I would hate to see her lose her position and lose her career over something like this. Because let's be clear, I don't believe that the majority of these women are really friends. I don't. I believe they're co-workers. And they are co-workers who are pretty much on the verge of the Love and Hip Hop style type of work atmosphere, because you've got security waiting there to break up fights at this point, because they know that at any moment it could go down. And that's what we're used to seeing on shows like that, where you have people flipping tables and punching people out and pulling hair and all of that other crazy stuff like that from the very beginning of, I believe, the Love and Hip Hop franchises. I believe, like, was it like that first or second season? I think of Love and Hip Hop, when Jim Jones's girlfriend like knocked the crap out of Joel Santana's girlfriend at the time. And I mean, a lot of people understood why she did it, but it was extremely uncalled for and it was violent. And now you've got the Real Housewives of Potomac that's supposed to be the upper echelon. You know, Andy tries to make it seem like the Real Housewives is above the stuff like that. But now you've got security waiting to make sure that they're available to break up these types of fights. It's just absolutely insane. But I hate to see Wendy lose her positions because of her desire to have the fame and the connections of being a quote unquote housewife on this franchise. But I mean, people, they want the fame, they clamor for it, they vie for it. I it's a different mindset and mentality for those who really want that type of life and lifestyle. And I believe her husband is just going along to get along because he loves his wife and this is what she really wanted. But I don't know if she knew exactly what she was in for when she came on this show, because she is definitely better than that. But she has these women like Robin and Giselle who really hate her, and she's allowing herself to be subjected to be around people who really don't see it for her at all, don't have what she actually has to lose, and allowing them to pull her down into a space that is not going to benefit her at all. We'll see how this goes. I'm sure that Johns Hopkins University knew about this situation before it aired, but this is, I guess, their first time really seeing it, possibly. I'm assuming. I don't know. But I would really love to know what you guys think about this. Let me know in the comment section if you feel that Wendy is possibly in a position to lose more because of the things that she already had before coming on the show, because of the ways of those who are surrounding her that do operate in a space of colorism. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. And until the next time, this is Beth, and I'm just being beautifully honest.